As a musician, I often face barriers to creativity. Creativity can be a difficult thing to manifest at all times. Sometimes creativity is an issue of inspiration, but other times it can be obstacles in your workflow. Recently, I watched this video by the composer Ryan Leach called How to Produce More in 2025. Ryan talks about reducing friction in your workflow in order to get into creating more quickly and more efficiently. I'm not going to talk specifically about the points he made, but if you're interested, I would highly recommend his video. I'll link it in the description. Watching his video made me think about two workflow issues that I have that I want to talk about here. The first one comes down to my setup. When I go to write music, I usually write on a keyboard. Specifically, I have this 88 key keyboard. It's nothing special, but that comes from growing up playing the piano and writing all my stuff on the piano. So when I sit down to write, I really like to use my keyboard. Right now, it's not set up on my desk. And the reason for that is that it takes up so much real estate that I literally cannot do anything else. I can only play the keyboard. I've got no room for any of my other stuff. So what I want to do is I want to find a way to install my keyboard under my desk so that I can reach for it every time I go to write some music. The other thing is my desk doesn't have a permanent setup anyway, so I have other keyboards and synthesizers that I'd like to use, but I can never arrange them properly because they also take up a lot of real estate. However, I think that setting them up in a more permanent position will allow me to sit down and start writing music more quickly and therefore reduce the frictions and barriers to creativity. The next piece of friction that I have in my workflow that I want to talk about, and which actually will maintain the focus of this video, is templates. Using templates to write music or to mix music are incredibly powerful ways to overcome the time that it takes to set up the sessions each time you sit down. Ryan touches on this in his video, and it's a problem that I've come up against time and time again. Partly is because it takes time to set up a proper template, but I think it will be really helpful and important for my own workflow. So what I want to do today is set up my desk, so my keyboards and synthesizers, in a way which I think will be helpful for my workflow, and then route them into my session in Reaper, and then create a template where I can just open it up and start jamming straight away. So I'm going to make this template, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make templates in Reaper like this. All right, let's make a template in Reaper. Now I want to make a template which I can open up and quickly start writing and composing music. And in order to do that, I want to hook in the keyboards and synthesizers I have available on my desk. So at the moment, I have a Casio MT70, which isn't super versatile, but I really want to use it, otherwise it just collects dust. I've got a Korg Volca keys, which I've started to use a lot more. I've got Native Instruments Complete Control M32. It's a MIDI keyboard, so it's okay. I don't love it. I really wish it had a MIDI out because ideally I'd love to pair it with the Korg Volca keys. So that's something I'm going to think about in the future. And then I'll have my Alesis Q88 keyboard hooked up under my desk. So I want to include that in my template because I know that I'll use that primarily, in fact, to write with. And I'll also have this microphone, which I'll use. So they're the things I want to include in my template to start jamming with. You know, it's just a jamming template. It's not set in stone. My desk right now is not in its final form. Right now my laptop's taking up a lot of room. It's old and crappy and really needs to be replaced with a desktop, which I will place under my desk. So that will free up room once that's gone. You know, there's ways of arranging this where I can maximize the real estate. So the template will change over time, but for now, these are the things that I think will really help me just set up for writing music quickly and getting those creative juices flowing. So I'm in a new session here in Reaper, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control T to create a new track. I'm going to call it Casio MT70, and I'm going to select the input, select mono, and go to input 6 because that's where I've hooked up the keyboard into the audio interface. I'm using a Behringer UMC 1820, which has 8 inputs and 10 outputs. I bought this originally actually to track drums with, but I've realized it's super useful for hooking up a whole lot of different instruments or microphones or whatever. So it's really helpful in that respect. I'm just going to engage it and let's see if we've got some sound. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, Control T again. I'm going to call this Volca Keys. I'm going to select input 5. Engage that. Now let's turn this on. Okay. Cool. So that's all hooked up. Now we're going to press Control T, do the same thing. 32. Go to MIDI, complete control, all channels. And then let's load up a virtual instrument. I really like Labs. It's a collection of free virtual instruments by Spitfire Audio, and they're so great. I mean, I just go to them all the time. I'm going to load up a string patch. Let's see if we've got... Beautiful. And in anticipation for the future, I'm going to do Lisa's Q88. So that's my big keyboard and a microphone, which is this one I'm using. Okay, the last thing I want to do before we save this as a template is my Casio is actually out of tune. And if I play it together, you'll hear... That sounds terrible. That sounds awful. So what I've done is got a pitch shifter. I've made a preset which should tune it properly. Beautiful. Now it's in tune. So I'll load that up, and yeah, at this stage, this feels like a good jamming template. So what do? Well, go to File. We're going to go to Project Templates, Save Project as Template. Now I've actually got keyboard synth jamming template already created. This is because I actually filmed this part once, but no audio recorded, which was fantastic. But for the sake of it, click this and then I'll just add test to show you that this is how it works. So I save that. Now, normally I would save this file as well, or save this project, sorry, but because I'm recording in Reaper, it doesn't allow me to. So I'm just going to open up a new tab. We go back to File, go to Project Templates, open up Keyboard Synth Jamming Template Test. And there we go. We're all loaded up. Awesome. So that's my jamming template. Now that I've got that set up, let's make a jam. Alrighty, thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of that, and I'll see you in whatever I make next.